almost all the Poles in the village were murdered with knives and axes. Old men, women, and children, including a 6-month-old baby who was stuck to a table with knife. Only 12 Poles survived, including a 12-year-old boy named Witold Kołodziński, who suffered a cracked skull from an axe blow. This was also part of Bandera's struggle for Ukrainian independence. In these attacks against the civilian population, it is estimated that 60 to 120,000 civilians were murdered. As the Red Army pushed west in 1944, the Nazis sought the help of any force that might slow the Soviet advance. In September 1944, Bandera walked out of Sachsenhausen concentration camp after promising to direct anti-communist operations. He met other released OUN leaders and drafted plans to fight the Soviet Union. One example was an idea to parachute Ukrainian units to the rear of the advancing Soviet forces and create chaos. Yet collapsing front lines made most schemes irrelevant. After the war, Bandera and his family moved several times around Germany, at that time occupied by Western allies. Soviet and Polish politicians and diplomats demanded his extradition, calling him a terrorist who was responsible for thousands of deaths. American counterintelligence officers disagreed. They considered him extremely dangerous, but also too valuable to hand over to the Soviets, since he knew the Ukrainian underground movement and was a skilled anti-communist fighter. Under a shadow arrangement called Operation Anyface, Washington quietly blocked Polish and Soviet requests. As a result of these activities, Bandera moved a lot in post-war Germany, and at the end he settled in Munich, once a stronghold of the Nazis. Bandera was also working for Ukrainian independence after the end of the Second World War, and the Kremlin wanted his voice silenced. They tried, over the years, to find and kidnap him into the Soviet Union. When Soviet patience finally ran out, the infamous KGB, the intelligence agency of the Soviet Union, sent the young Ukrainian Bohdan Stashinsky to execute Bandera. The KGB trained Stashinsky to use a spray gun that fired a jet of poison gas from a crushed cyanide capsule. The gas was designed to induce cardiac arrest, making the victim's death look like a heart attack. Stashinsky had used the weapon to kill another Ukrainian politician, Lev Rebet, in 1957. On the 15th of October 1959, he used an improved version of the same gas gun to assassinate Stepan Bandera in Munich. This time, the KGB was successful, and the 50-year-old Bandera was killed on the spot. On the 20th of October 1959, Bandera was buried in Munich, and 2 years later his wife and 3 children moved to Toronto in Canada. Bandera is still remembered by many as a Ukrainian national hero. He is mainly seen by this group of people for his struggle for Ukrainian independence, whether in the struggle against Poland or the Soviet Union. This struggle, however, was tied to the suffering of thousands of innocent people and meant an alliance with the monstrous regime of Nazi Germany.